The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the start of Stage 4. It is also day one of the Chicago home series, and our first series to kick everything off will be the Atlanta FaZe taking on the Paris Legion. There have been all kinds of news, all kinds of updates in regards to roster changes. Everything is changing coming into Stage 4, and one of the biggest updates that we have, a new search and destroy map. Checkmate S&D, get out of here. Standoff S&D, welcome to the rotation. It has been a solid 7-8 years since we have seen Standoff Search and Destroy, but I'm hoping that we can possibly see it today. Lado and Stud guiding you guys with the beautiful Chicago skyline behind us. Stud, how you feeling? Again, a new stage, new teams, new maps. How you feeling, buddy?
I'm feeling great, man. Like you said, new stage, new teams, new maps. There's a whole lot of new things to be excited about going into Stage 4, but we have two teams that are in our matchup right here. Atlanta FaZe, who are the champions, the top dogs of the league, and Paris Legion, who have really been struggling recently. Hopefully they're able to bounce back and at least show some kind of light versus the top dogs.
Yeah, no, like I said, we talked about a lot of new things coming into Stage 4. One thing that's not new is just the dominance that we could expect from Atlanta FaZe. They are your Stage 1. They are your Stage 3 major champions. The whole roster is looking super complete. Now we come into today, and what look are they going to present us with? You know the team. You love the team. Let's go ahead and meet the boys, the Atlanta FaZe.
The game has turned on its head.
Run! Run! Get onto the point! Cellium finds himself two more. Oh, baby! Absolutely slayed. What a magnificent comeback from Atlanta.
Oh boy, the Atlanta FaZe, I mean, what? There's not a whole lot that can be said that has already not been said about this team. They kind of reclaim glory at that Stage 3 major. I mean, what's that? I guess we talk about things that kind of impressed you. What impressed you the most about this team, their turnaround at that Stage 3 major?
It was definitely the matchup versus Toronto, and they played them twice throughout that major. It was in the winners semis and then in the losers finals. And in both of those matchups, you know, with those two teams sitting at 1 and 2, it was all came down to the search and destroys, and that is what Toronto were able to beat them at last time. But Atlanta FaZe, they pick up Tupac as a coach. They make sure that they make the adjustments to get better as time goes on, and they ended up beating them in 3 out of 4 searches in that series alone between those two teams. So Atlanta FaZe is just really hard when you talk about these guys to find out weaknesses, because from top to bottom, these guys are just way too good.
Yeah, I feel like one player too, we talk about, you know, them trying to change up their map pool. Like, one thing that also was kind of scary, I think it's fair to say, about the Atlanta FaZe is also the lineup consistency. Because, like, you know, one guy who hasn't been talked about a ton, I feel like, for this roster has been Arcitys, and he kind of took over, I think, and a number of different clutch moments, and you kind of talked about those search and destroys. He was kind of the X factor in those modes, and specifically in those clutch moments.
Yeah, man, and that's what aLLeY is here to do. Mr. Arcitys, in those clutch moments where comms can be chaotic, he's going to be that leader that's going to slow everyone down, make sure that they still have a chance to make the play, and he was doing it all throughout that Stage 3 major. The guy was just on point with the clutches, on point with his comms. Every time his team needed a gap to be filled, or at least a 2-piece to be popped, he was there to answer the call.
I like that, man. Some clever stuff already start off the day. But hey, we talked about a team that obviously started off the stage already super well. They obviously are your Stage 3 major champions. We now have to look at the other side, a team that is desperately looking to try to turn things around. One of the 6 teams that did make a roster change coming into Stage 4. Let's go and meet the boys, the Paris Legion.
Wonderful start here from Paris Legion. Paris Legion just about pushed that player off the hard point.
Just can they clutch up and go big?
Classic just being aggressive in the plane.
Fire's got to get on the bomb, and he will. He finds the kill.
Unbelievable stuff.
Awkward from the back end, able to pick up 3 along the way.
Paris Legions.
What a round!
As we said, it is a different look for the Paris Legion coming into their 4th stage, now adding in Zaptius, who was previously a part of the London Royal Ravens, and obviously Classic out. He's now over in Seattle. A lot of different roster changes, as we said, going down specifically with a team like this. But how do you feel a player like Zaptius kind of fits in with this Legion team?
I feel like he's gonna do a good job with this roster, because obviously Classic, one thing that he was lacking in was just those slaying kills. He just couldn't find any consistency. But with Paris Legion now picking him up, Scraps is going to move over to that full-time sub, so Zaptius is going to be his duo. So between those two players, they can definitely play at a certain pace, because we saw the way that Zaptius really worked around PaulEhx back on that London Royal Ravens team. It was just slow and steady to make sure that every play was able to develop the right way. And hopefully on this team, he's able to bring that, because they need to start gaining some wins underneath their belt to gain some more CDL points. But let's just hop right into our game fuel keys to victory for Paris Legion. Zaptius needs to be the difference maker in control. Legion so far are 1-6 in their last 7. Zaptius is currently sitting at a 1.07 KD in control, which is 12th overall in that game mode. Like you said, man, they just are awful at that game mode. In control, 1-6, you need to have that Slayer to be there to have some more consistency. And then obviously you got to end it out with that search and destroy. It really just hasn't been good for them. Hopefully they can start to chain some rounds together, eventually chain some maps together, because the only map that they have won was at that last stage 3 major versus London. So far they're 1-8 on their last 9 search and destroys.
Well said, my friend. As we were kind of preparing coming into this series, it was like, what is Paris' strength, search, destroy, control? Those are things that definitely need to be worked on. But now our game fuel keys to victory here for the Atlanta FaZe. Continue to expand on the map pool, right? Especially with Checkmate, Search, and Destroy now out of the rotation. They were 7-1 on that map. They started to play it a lot more often. Now we talk about their map pool. How can that start to change? Maybe with Standoff now in the rotation, maybe that can be one for them. And then also keep developing that lineup consistency, not just game mode consistency as well. Everybody in that Major 3 final was over a 1 KD. And as we said, it was Arcitys leading the way, and he looks very I don't know if it maybe excited, maybe just relaxed, chilled out. I really have no idea. But hey, Big Alec, he was putting on a wonderful performance. I think he led them in stage 3 KD. He led at stage 3 major KD. He was leading in the major 3 finals as well in terms of KD. But hold on, stud, look at this.
Let's
Standoff,
go.
Search and Destroy. In our first series of Major 4, it is put into the rotation. I asked on Twitter, could we see it? And the teams, they have replied.
And we were talking about Atlanta FaZe just expanding map pool, and they are not wasting any time. I'm pretty sure they were the team that decided to put Standoff, Search, and Destroy at that game too. So they're just trying to, like I said, expand that map pool, trying to get better at their worst maps, or even maps that they have yet to play. But Standoff, such a classic Search and Destroy map. I cannot wait to see how it plays out between these two teams.
And one thing too, man, like what maps 2 through 5 are all Black Ops 2 throwbacks. So we got like we have Standoff, Search, Destroy, we have Raid Control, Raid Hardpoint, and then Express Search and Destroy to close it out. Oh, I tell you what, I cannot be more excited. But hey, as we said, we're starting things off on some good old Garrison. Coming into this one, 7-2 record for Paris, a solid record on the other side for Atlanta as well. And I guess what, Study, kind of granted, given the situation for Legion, I mean, in terms of map vetoes, you're going to be playing Atlanta FaZe in a map that we have no idea how they're going to look. Plus, you have arguably your best hardpoint. I mean, what, kind of given map vetoes opportunities, this could be a good chance for Legion to put one on the board.
Yeah, it definitely can, man. The only thing is, like I said, they're going up against the best team in the game. So it's going to be really difficult, because Atlanta FaZe, even when you think that they have weaknesses, they really don't. So now it's all about how Paris Legion can really start off this game, what kind of chains, hard points they can put together, and it's a great way to open it with Zaptius getting 2, opening with this new team. It's got to be feeling really good, at least starting off with those first 2 kills. Time's still going in favor of Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta currently grabbing the early seconds, a nice 13-0 advantage, keeping in mind Paris do have those preferred spawns for P2, but we've been seeing teams more often than not starting to control P1 slightly better. It's almost been like teams who have kind of had that rotation set up for P2 are losing a lot more time at P1 than prior. A lot more rosters kind of figuring out how to play better on the back foot. Meanwhile, time still in the hands of Atlanta. Rotation is set up early for Legion. Scraps trying to get here in time, but really already 2 players pushing in through green. That's going to be Arcitys and aBeZy. Legion getting some awkward timing to start, and so despite having preferred spawns, this very well could be a chain for Atlanta as Cellium finds another one.
Yeah, so Cellium, he was just going to try to stay alive in toward top green, but Atlanta FaZe, they're able to set up the pinch, and now there's only going to be one player left on this point from the Paris Legion, which is going to be Scraps. Eventually, he's going to drop, and that was just a great chain right there from Atlanta FaZe from that P1 to P2. The entire time they were getting time on that P1, they made sure that they kept control of that top green. You saw Arcitys, he's out towards that take nice and early, but just forcing Paris Legion to spawn towards the back to eventually force them to try to break through bricks was a really impossible task to get done. They still had enough time for Simp to eventually hit the pinch, and that's how they've been able to chain both of these hard points together. It's already been 65 to about 8. And you see what FaZe going to be able to get this remaining time, but now it's time to focus on this rotation. And Paris Legion, they're not trying to put themselves in such a deep hole as Scraps is able to get 3, and now they're focused off the rotation towards that P3.
Yeah, I mean, the score obviously indicates the dominance between the P1 and the P2, but I got a little bit worried for a moment because after a hill and a half, only one player on Paris had over a kill. So definitely a need to turn things around. This could be their opportunity. We talk about a hill like P3, but aBeZy, he has come out to slay already. Already up to 11 engagements. aBeZy really the only player that stops him from making this flank, from causing some chaos toward what is another money hill would be aBeZy. As he finally begins to falter, he'll wait for the rest of the squad mates to start to group on up. Legion are getting the seconds that they need, 30 valuable ones left to go, but can Atlanta make the break? A few players from the front, they're going to drop Cellium at the very least. Is finding a few, and that double will set up Simp to go for the engagement, and just like that, with 18 seconds left, Atlanta, they break on in. Paris, with the close spawns, are able to clear things out. Too little, too late there from FaZe.
That was a good bounce back right there out of Paris to at least not allow FaZe to break in towards that. You were able to get this remaining time, which is about 15 seconds, so you're right back into this one. Now it's all about just trying to break this P4 hard point, trying to break through tools, trying to get through broken. Right now, Cellium, he's able to take down one. aBeZy's going to be the next line. Fortunately, kills are going to go back and forth. So, Paris Legion, they're putting the pressure on towards tool side. Now it's all about trying to eliminate these players out of top green, but they're able to get the players off spawn. So fight for a little bit more of some map control, and eventually get some time on the clock.
And Paris, they've been doing a good job. Like, as you said, right? At P3, now to P4, they are starting to bring themselves back into this game. But Cellium has other plans. That's going to make it 3-4 in a row. Line him up and knock him down, and Simp is right there to drop him as soon as they come right back off of spawn. Atlanta will reach that century mark, and as we get toward the bitter end of this first set of rotations, if you are a Legion fan, we'll go ahead and step aside and go to an Astro listen-in with the Atlanta FaZe.
One of them, P1. Medical time,
He's bridge. Maddie's dead.
Two in the back.
Yeah. Yo, I have a break. I have a break.
I'm trying to toss it. Floating, Ben.
Flashback left.
More under floating. And on the back.
I have a breaks. I'm on breaks already.
Trying to help you bricks.
I'm on the head.
Get bricks.
I'm looking at
Breaks the
Trying
bullet
to help you
up.
bricks.
You can't peek me.
Breaks the bullet up.
Scraps absolute.
Bonnie, I'm trying to get bricks.
Help right.
Yeah, I'm
I'll block.
Enter. They're dead.
I'll see him.
Back down, dead. Two squares, they're both one shot. One's one shot.
Break.
Yeah,
I'm looking back. I'm going back to
I have a break.
Gonna be light to me.
I'll see him. I do not see anything.
Light and breaks.
I'm feeling.
I'm trying to get bricks. How many mid dead?
I'll put it. Hard block, Tyler.
No, he's in lights.
Light.
Actually, that's the first further
One shot, YuLi. He's
really dead.
Go.
I spawn green again.
I have green.
Alright, we have
Yeah, let me know if you can help green, okay?
Out of breaks.
I have to get that. I got it.
Yo, I mean, 2 again, help me. On
I
need this 3.
Three, there is.
Yeah, 3 again, 1 light. 3 again, 1 light.
One could have jumped out.
YuLi and back light.
Scratch.
Damn,
Back left.
I'm one shot. You might light.
Yeah, nothing on. Yeah, he's not
I'm
peeking.
one shot as fuck.
YuLi peek, one's middle.
I don't see him, man.
Tag.
Got him on time.
Good job, I'm looking at lights.
One square.
I have
Get time again.
I have on the green.
Well, Atlanta FaZe have come out of the gates here to start off stage 4 in a solid way. Again, they are your major 3 winners. And I mean, we kind of had this conversation coming into this series. We're talking about expansion of map pools, things like that for Atlanta. You know, they're 100 points above the 2nd seed right now in our overall points for the season. We were kind of curious, would they kind of be in cruise control? I mean, given the comms, given the scoreline right now, how would you gauge their intensity?
I definitely don't think that they're in cruise control. These guys know that we cannot allow teams to try to push us throughout the rest of the series, because throughout stage 3, they went to a lot of 3-2 series, and that's just something that we don't expect out of Atlanta FaZe. But you could just hear it in the comms. The intensity is there. They want to make sure that from start to finish of this stage, they're winning their maps and winning them in a dominant fashion. And the way that they ended during that listening, able to chain that P5 to some time on that P1. But Paris Legion are able to get back, and this time around, not give up those P2s to the Atlanta FaZe, so they're able to get back into this one, finally going to break that 100-point mark.
And I guess what, if you're Legion, now you are starting to kind of gain a little bit here. There could be some excellent time. They were able to lock down P2. Granted, it didn't work out last time around, but once this hill comes to a close, they could be down by about 30 points coming in toward P3. What do you think has been the overall big difference maker so far from Legion, and what do you think could be the opening for them to bring this one to more of a level heading?
I think it's just when they do not have the spawns for their hard point, it's really difficult for them to break in. Atlanta FaZe, they're just so stacked up between players. They have multiple different layers to where they have to get dropped. They're still keeping the spawns, and that's what Paris Legion haven't been really able to adjust on. But early is going to be Aqua and towards the back of this P3, so this is definitely going to help. He's able to take down one, Temp with the second. But with that kill coming in from Arcitys, both players from Atlanta are still going to spawn in the back, but this is the opening for Paris. They need to try to break through, try to get back into this game, not give up this full 45 seconds to Atlanta. So you see Temp, he's going to be the only player pushed up in this position towards Hulk Tank. He's going to get traded, and Atlanta FaZe, once again, are just holding the line.
Yeah, and we talk about just, overall SMG play. I mean, what, right now, Zappy is sitting at 12 and 19. Granted, does get a nice kill just as we start to talk about him, but he was kind of off to a nice start, had somewhat of a slower performance since then, and just there's been a lot of conversation about this Legion team saying, what, is it kind of that SMG that they're missing? Is it kind of that consistent SMG player? Because what, it was Fire prior, then Classic doesn't really have a great stage 3 by any means, and I think we both could argue that, his ability, what he brings to a team is probably more valuable on a roster like Seattle in comparison. But do you think that this team, that the struggles have been another area, or do you think it is just kind of having a consistent SMG player to rely on?
I think a consistent SMG player is desperately what this team needs. It's just a guy that can maneuver around the map, play at such a fast pace, where a lot of teams really do have that player. So Atlanta FaZe, obviously, they have aBeZy. With Florida, you have Neptune. With New York, you got HyDra. Yeah. There's just so many players that play at such an insane pace that are able to pick up these kills, and that's just something that Paris Legion are really lacking in. And even though they are fighting still in this hardpoint, only being down 48 points, they're getting another great hold on towards this P4 hardpoint. They just really lack consistency, and that's where it's really struggles versus these top teams, is when that slaying department comes about, you need to be able to kill with the best. That's just where they're really struggling now.
Yeah, we talk about it constantly, right? With kind of the top teams in the game. The major difference maker is just the consistency across the modes, right? If you have a very well-known game mode that you struggle in, hey, we talk about with Seattle, we talk about it with London at times. Paris, of course, is a roster that we talk about it too. LAG, you list off the different teams that kind of have those primary struggles, and you see them in the standings. It's kind of like, hey, what can be the overall difference? How can you kind of adapt to that style? And at least for Legion, the issue, I think, Stud, is, versus these top teams, you're not always guaranteed a hard point, right? Search and destroy, control, that has been where they've really struggled in. You lose that hard point, that is where things can start to cause some problems. But they are within 30, playing well, currently at P5. They've got, a good solid setup for the moment. Temp toward the backside of Bricks. Zappius is there for the trade. Meanwhile, Arcitys as well is going to be dealt with. Just like that, we're talking about what can Legion do, what can kind of the measure be. They have played pretty well in these last two rotations on P4 and P5, and we've got a game within about 15 points.
Yeah, and this is what Paris Legion needs to be able to get done. They need to set up on these hard points nice and early, so now they're going to be able to take this lead off of such a great hold in this P5. They're spawning all of Atlanta FaZe towards the backside of tanks. Aqua able to take down two, but still, job well done right there out of Paris. 204 to 207. With them having some early time on towards this P1, it's all about just trying to hold the setup right now and not allow Atlanta FaZe to chain the couple kills together. But you see the play coming in from Simp, hitting the vent. The hill's going to eventually get contested, so that clock might come into play. But you see what Atlanta FaZe are doing. They're just taking their time. Yeah. They're just trying to make sure that they execute this push. Just also not giving a lot of time towards Paris Legion because they're keeping no spawns for P2.
It's really a matter of when is Simp going to start to engage just like that. Atlanta, you realize they have the advantage with the spawns so that they can kind of contest the time. Meanwhile, Graps pretty much has to jump in. He has to be the difference maker to kind of commit to that 3 versus 2. Does not work out. Atlanta still getting some time, forcing the pressure over at P1 while also having that money hill. We'll see how pairs can begin to adapt to it. That rotation has to be on point, and now very well could be the rush, but as soon as they start to make their way through Catwalk, Cellium is there. 3 players still alive right now for Legion as here comes the rush. Simp able to drop the first. Still waiting on those teammates to come alongside, but how about 3? 3 coming in from Simp. The 4th is found from Cell. Destroys the trophy for good measure. And that very well could be the nail in the coffin for this hardpoint. Less than 20 to go here for Atlanta. The last call for Legion. Can they make a push? Can they force a next hill? Again, 7 seconds left. Temp able to find 1. There's going to be 2 from the corner. Cell wiping him away. The 2 players do get onto the point, but Simp is there. How about the 5 spree to close out the game as Atlanta FaZe in style walk away with our first.
And that was just all about the early start from Atlanta. Them being able to hold those P4 to P5 rotations to get a full 60 on that. And then just even before that, to chain that P1 to P2 together, because during the second rotation of hard points, Paris were able to adapt to that. They were able to hold that P2. They were able to hold a P5, but just such a great early start from Atlanta FaZe. They were able to take that map number 1. Obviously for Paris Legion, you got some inconsistencies on their side, but when you're playing from the back foot, not having good spawns, that's exactly how the game's going to turn out. They played it well though. It's just Atlanta FaZe, they did a better job at just holding their primary hard points.
And how about the scoreboard there? 34-20 there at Asim. As we said, I think what that 6 spree did kind of close out that that particular hard point. But you called it well, my friend. Like I said, the advantage that Atlanta had off the start. I mean, we were talking about how this could very well be a fast Garrison Legion. They do reply back, as you said, in those P4s and P5s, but just toward the stretch. Again, just the slang talent that this team has. They have the ability to erupt at pretty much any moment, and I think despite what could have been a nice little moment there for Legion, unfortunately will extend their hardpoint losing streak now to 4 games in a row. And again, Study, we talked about this Legion team. This has been their strength, right? Hardpoint has been their game mode all season long. It's a tough way to lose in this particular situation, but we also got to reflect back on this hardpoint with our USAA coverage moment. And of course, it's got to be the man himself, good old Simp, making the plays here to hold down this hill, Stud.
Yeah, so a lot of his teammates dropped over towards that P1 hard point. So Simp, he was the only line of defense, because Cellium, he was watching that cross from bridge. He was only able to take down 1, but the fact that Simp knew he had to go big, he had to be able to at least get 2, since his teammates were all spawning out towards back taste, they had to reposition towards bricks. He was able to get those kills and then eventually close out the map. Such a heads-up play out of the young champion to close it out.
Indeed, big plays coming through from Atlanta as they will respond early with the Game 1 victory. When we come back after the break, it is time for Standoff Search and Destroy. Strap in. It's going to be fun.
The Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. USAA Insurance. You can't hit restart in real life. Get insurance.
The map, now you know that it's going to be a bomb planet A. They're trying to isolate Simp. Is Simp going to be ready for 3? I doubt it. Clay has to stay alive on the other side. Simpy's at least able to get 1, and now you're just wasting time if you're Simp. Arcitys is there to help him. A 2v4 now for Atlanta FaZe.
And look to close it out. Asim gets gunned all on Clay. And it's done.
Nah, let's go. Let's go. Camps, baby. Let's go.
And there you see the reactions of a very happy Atlanta FaZe. I mean, what, Study? This team, they have just been so dominant all season long, rather. As we're looking at their ranks, it is, it's just disgusting. What, you talk about the turnaround that they've had in Search and Destroy specifically, but I mean, outside of that, it has just been, I guess, what, somewhat smooth sailing.
Yeah, it's definitely been smooth sailing. The only thing that's different is that hard point. Obviously, New York, ever since picking up HyDra, they're going to be that #1 team in that game mode. But second overall on hard point, first in Search and Destroy, first in Control. Like I said, man, this team just doesn't have any weaknesses, and it's really difficult to try to beat these guys in anything. But this is your best chance. You're going into a map where both teams have yet to play it, so this is going to be great.
It's going to be fun, man. Like we said, it's been like, what, 7, 8, 9 years, something like that, since we've seen Standoff in the rotation. And from here, it's a full-on classic. As we said, we've got Standoff, we have got Raid, we've got Express. It is going to be beautiful. We absolutely love to see it. I mean, what, since Standoff was actually officially in the rotation, I mean, what, Simp was probably like 9 or something, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Probably.
Something like that. But as again, we know all these kids are cracked. They've been playing literally since they've been in diapers. At least that's what aBeZy has said prior. Yep. But regardless, as we said, in stage 2, Atlanta FaZe, their struggle was in that Search and Destroy. As you labeled, they bring in Tupac, and it has been a major transfer in that game mode. But now in a map like Express, I mean, obviously we don't really know how much practice both of these teams have. Throughout stage 3, the major talking point around Atlanta was that they are trying to expand their map pool. They want to improve in Search and Destroy. I mean, what do you think that Legion, I mean, given the way that this map works, because obviously you played it plenty of times in your history, where do you think the gap could be here for Paris? How do you see a plan of attack, given the roles, given the way that this map works, possibly for Legion?
Well, definitely the plan of attack has to be over towards that A-bomb site. To be able, since we don't have any snipers in this one, it's all about who's going to be able to open up that first blood. Who's going to be able to take that mid-map control around Statue, around Tank, or even just fight from top fish to try to get an early first blood. And this is where Atlanta FaZe, like, obviously both teams who are sitting at 0-0, this is going to be brand new. Like, you're going to be developing strats right off the fly. But if you've played Call of Duty 8, 9, 10 years ago, and you play that map, you know exactly how this map needs to get done. Just go back and watch some old VOD. You should be straight.
Absolutely, my friend. Well, unfortunately, we are having a quick little lobby problem. I'm being told that a ref may have passed out because of how excited he is for Standoff Search and Destroy. All jokes aside, nobody passed out. We'll have the game up just in a few moments.
Dude, I just got them in the pit spawn trap, baby. Let's go, bro. Good.
Almost finds a nice one, but Clay in from the Yeskies. Clay finds one. Clay can't find the second. Meanwhile, it's plays being made on both sides of the map as the time continues to tick away. OpTic fall, and it will be a victory for the New York Subliners.
The side door bank, one's deep.
One's gonna be front on you, bro.
Yeah, one's deep. One's my planner.
Dashy weak, Dashy weak.
Planner dead. Nice. One more deep. I can't challenge him.
Yeah, deep, weak.
Nice.
Let's get front. Help me quick.
Okay.
Let me kick this out of chop. Wait. Dead.
Sit down.
This one's front.
Okay.
Nice, Clay.
One on the back. Shoulder the back.
One front. I'm trying front.
That's good. That's right.
Let's
fucking go. I cried that battle. Good job,
Clay.
You're a fucking beast. You're the fucking
routes, baby.
Here comes the remaining members of the Mutineers. Awakening drops as well. Oh, they stopped it for a brief second.
One shot. I can't see him. One B. Pretty sure. Wait. Half out. Let's go B. I'm staring at it. Let's go, baby.
Not a close map in the mix. A nice search win from Thieves, but everything else so ultra.
Lower. Get time. All right, dead. Nice. Nice. Andy, absolute nice. Dude, one shot, absolute supply. Yeah, I'm just laying down. Yeah, just one pillar and... Toby, you two just f***ing smoked them. Bro, look at my f***ing Toby, you're not gonna fist bump me.
And look to close it out. Asim gets gunned all on Clay. And it's done. FaZe, their second win on the year.
He didn't come to me. He did not come to me, Chris. He did not come to me.
Oh my God! Nah. Kill it. Yeah, baby. Go.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Call of Duty League. Stage 4 off to a hot start. Atlanta FaZe red hot after their Game 1 victory over on Garrison. And as we talked about, coming into this next map, it will be Search and Destroy, and it will be Search and Destroy on a different map. If you have not seen the news, checkmate S&D. You're out of here. Standoff S&D is now in the rotation. Again, another classic map from Black Ops 2. Now back. It's been 7-8 years since we have seen this bad boy in the rotation. And no bias here, it just happens to be my favorite map of all time. But it's not just been me who's excited about it. Obviously, our Astro Social soundboard, this one covered in from Sharp, we'll just call it that. SG says, Standoff, welcome back. Hashtag CDL 2021. GOAT map. Indeed. Stud, where does this map rank for you all time? Is it somewhere up there? Top 5, top 10?
Yeah, it's definitely top 5. Like, this is one of those maps where I started my career, and Nameless was even making YouTube videos back in the day about me called the Warlock of the Year when I was just walking around joking people. But from top to bottom, this map is just great. 3 lanes, multiple different spots where you can set up properly to make sure you get full holds. It's only going to be different now because Search and Destroy doesn't have snipers, it doesn't have smoke grenades. So what we saw all the way back in 7-8 years ago, it's going to be totally different from now, but we still might definitely see that aggressive push over towards that A-bomb site.
I hope so, man. Like, I hope that we do see some similar strategies, but as you mentioned, like with, not having smoke, snipers. I know Nables was even talking about like, oh, I used to do this EMP strategy. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot EMPs even existed. So there is that. There's definitely going to be a transfer of things. I know we've seen, Raid Express now in the rotation kind of totally changed up now all these years later. The same thing very well could be said for a map like Standoff, Search and Destroy. And if you are just joining us, as we mentioned, checkmate S&D, it was a solid one for Atlanta FaZe. They were the #1 team based off of record in that map, 7-1 record. Big story for them was, hey, that kind of now comes into their Search and Destroy rotation. Now, maybe it could in fact be Standoff, but oh boy, here we go. We get to walk through the streets of Standoff. We get to smell the hay bales, jump all over the tanks, kiss the OpTic Van Hood, and enjoy ourselves once more. I swear, there is a raven or a bird on every single map study.
Everywhere.
Is that like a thing?
Every single
am
map.
I missing something? I never knew that was a thing.
Yeah, I never knew it was either, but let's just hop right into this great map, and you see some early shots coming in. aBeZy trying to take control of Courtyard, but Scraps is able to meet him and open up with that first blood. But you see what FaZe are doing. They're going to be working towards that A plant immediately. Bomb is going to be planted. So now it's all about just trying to stay alive towards this tractor side. But right now, Paris Legion have full control of wood. First and second story. So how did they decide to approach this? Cellium is going to be the only player on the flank side.
That was a great push-up that Cellium ends up making. Obviously gets a lot of information on what could have been the flank, but Close quarters, Scraps looking for the angles, Aqua over top. Meanwhile, Zaptius may have found the information, so surely had to have already been weak. No idea if hip fires are landing, and it looks as if that break will be successful. Despite what was an early bomb plant, Legion, they are able to make the retake without losing a single player. They start for Paris.
And that was one thing that I was really scared about, was when they decided to release Classic and pick up Zaptius, who was going to be that playmaker, that SMG player to go around through the late flanks, hit through the back alley, and just always make these plays that cause the round to be chaotic. And Zaptius, he was there to fill that gap. He's able to get that kill onto Cellium in towards top fish, and then eventually get the second onto Arcitys to close out that round. But right there was Paris Legion, just holding their defenses. Scraps opened up with the first blood. Zaptius followed up by 2. Good round out of Paris.
Yeah, and again, I know that, Zaptius with the London Royal Ravens against a different team. We talked about how his search and destroy could very well change the dynamic of that roster, and it was kind of a majority of the time in control. But who knows? Like I said, his kind of player card, if you will, the overall status update on him as a player was that his search and destroy, he can take over. Maybe with this new Legion lineup, this could be the opportunity. How about the line of sight there from Scraps underneath the statue? Able to get some visuals. Meanwhile, Timp ends up finding the first blood. Meanwhile, Atlanta decided to force the issue over at A, and we very well could see the rotation out of Legion. Now toward Courtyard, toward Backwood they go. 45 seconds still on the clock.
Yeah, so now Atlanta FaZe, they have to try to change their positioning up. Temp is able to spot Arcitys over there towards that tractor. Able to pick up that kill as well. So now it's going to be a 4v2 situation, but just pay attention to Simp. Simp is going to be that player pushing through bottom wood. He's going to be able to catch this guy in the top window. Able to get that kill, so now makes it a 2v3, but the bomb is not at B. Paris decided to rotate this over towards A. Temp is going to be playing a corner in the middle of the map. Cellium and Simp, they're going to have their hands full. It's Paris Legion are keeping them on their toes. Bomb's going to be planted now in a 3v2 situation in favor of Paris.
Another kill. Simp able to go for the trade at 1 versus 2. 30 seconds on the clock. And if you are Paris, you do have a nice look, right? Scrap sitting toward top red is going to have full visuals over toward this street. And that is going to be Legion answering again.
Yeah, Paris, that's 2 rounds in a row where they were able to find that first blood onto aBeZy in the middle courtyard. So that forces Atlanta to just start maneuvering, thinking that the all-out push was going to come in towards A. Aqua was playing nice and slow towards back gas station to make sure no players from Atlanta were setting up for that pinch. And eventually they take control of Grandma. Was able to get the second kill, rotate that bomb over towards that A site. Atlanta FaZe, they were just way too slow to it. Paris Legion set up perfectly to go up 2-0.
We'll see what Atlanta can do now. Obviously in their second offense, early calls over toward A. And to be the strategy, as you mentioned, kind of more often than not, those aggressive angles toward A can be one of the better strategies on a map like Standoff. But into it we go. Both teams just trying to set up some camp. Tossing down trophies. Getting oh so comfortable inside a square is Temp, but ring around the rosy. Does have some information on to sell. And again, kind of with the defensive positions, when you're kind of in your spawn, when you kind of have grandmas, you have the overlook toward B. It's just a matter of can you catch those early angles. Another first blood granted for Legion. This time it's Zap.
Once again, aBeZy, he's going to try to get aggressive into Delhi and give that kill to Zaptius. Now Atlanta FaZe, they're going to do the same exact thing that Paris Legion tried to get done. Just rotate that bomb over towards that A site. With 30 seconds left, it's going to be another 3v4 retake for Paris Legion. This time you have Temp, who's going to be that playmaker to go all the way around the backside, able to spot Arcitys and win the engagement. So now they must know that both players from Atlanta are going to be trapped in towards this site. You have number 3 who's holding one side. The pinch is going to come in from the other. And Paris Legion so far are the standoff gods. They are making these rounds look easy.
Yeah, man, I got to say, like, 3 rounds in, it's, it's solid performances. But Legion, they're dominating. You got some players who are just totally sitting on streaks. You got 4-0 for Scraps. I don't know if Zaptius has even died yet. Maybe even same thing for Temp, but just overall. Clinical plays early from the Legion. And, granted, we're still earlier on in this game. That 4th round is going to say a lot about this. But Atlanta, maybe a little bit worried possibly about that standoff search and destroy pick. Obviously, it's our first time seeing it. But at the very least, Stud, I think it's fair to say Legion have played this one quite a bit, despite it only being in the rotation for a little while.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, they have players like Scraps or players like Aqua who have been playing Call of Duty for a really long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if they had some experience on a map like Standoff. You know, it's been out for a really long time. You guys remember the OpTic van, which currently Scraps is going to be standing on top of. But Paris Legion currently up 3-0. This time they're going to decide to play towards Wood, trying to work over towards that B-bomb site. Atlanta FaZe still keeping the aggression in towards bottom courtyard, though. Once again, aBeZy is going to be the first player in an engagement, able to back down that player with a nade, but how aggressive does he decide to be in towards bottom wood? The minute left on the clock. Paris Legion, they're just waiting. They're just waiting for Atlanta FaZe to try to make a mistake.
And so far through our, kind of obviously in our 4th round now, any memories coming back, Stud? Is it kind of playing the way that you expected or totally different?
Oh, it's definitely playing the way I expected. Obviously, you don't have snipers, so you don't have smoke. So a lot of things, like a lot of quick first bloods don't really come in. But Paris Legion, open up with another first blood, just being aggressive towards that A site is exactly what I expect. And now they single out Arcitys on towards the tractor, able to take him down. This is another 4v2 situation for Paris Legion to try to climb out of. And Cellium able to get one and get himself out with his life. But the time is starting to tick. We have to work this bomb plant soon if you're Paris.
Just can you make somewhat of a noise if you're Atlanta? aBeZy finally able to get on the board. That bomb planted over at A. It will be a task, a 1 versus 2. Will have to be the hat trick for Atlanta to escape with their first round victory. Not the way that you'd imagine. They hope that their standoff start would begin, but it will be the Legion 4 rounds straight, continuing to cause havoc on the streets, in grandmas, in wood, whatever you really want to give the call-outs. They are just causing problems right now. Paris yet to skip a beat.
Yeah, so Paris right now, they're just doing a great job of just taking control of the middle of the map, and that's what Atlanta FaZe continuously are giving up. They're taking control of mid-court. They're trying to be aggressive in towards bottom wood, but Paris Legion, they're just working that statue perfectly. They're gaining first bloods, and they're forcing Atlanta FaZe to try to make a play, and this is what that opening is going to do. It's going to allow them to take some risk, and unfortunately, it's going to come back to bite them as aBeZy is going to get first blooded on the round.
Gotta feel good if you're aBeZy. Again, just trying to find somewhat of a rhythm. You're down 0-4. Something has to change up, whether it's the strategy, whether it's just the routes that you're taking. It appeared to be that early B look, but again, because of how far the defense can advance, you're going to know fully and well once you do go over toward A. But the farthest pushed up for Legion, Scraps, he quickly gets wiped off the map. Now it's aBeZy yet again, utilizing the shoulders. Nice angles from him as now it all comes down to Aqua finding the first. Now a 1 versus 2. aBeZy did catch his perspective, but Aqua all the smarter. That tank heady can be a beast to try and deal with. FaZe, they finally get on the board.
Yeah, they just read the round perfectly, and this all started with aBeZy. Him going towards back alley, reading the play of 2 Paris players, pushing towards that, being aggressive, able to get the first blood, and eventually put his team in a man advantage. And at that point, like I said, it forces Paris Legion to start changing positionings. Eventually, Cellium was able to catch one as he was rotating over towards that A-bomb site, turns it into a 4v2, and eventually they single out, attempt to close out the last round. Aqua with some great positioning right there from Broken, almost gets his job done, but Atlanta FaZe are able to finally get on the board with their first round. And once again, they're not changing strategy. They're just keeping aggression towards that middle courtyard area. Just trying to solo out this player who's going to be sitting in the bottom. Temp's going to be able to spot both, but he gets away with his life.
Crafty plays from Donnie 10. Arcitys, meanwhile, utilizing that picket fence to his advantage. So many famous moments on a map like Standoff, and oftentimes it was over at that A site and search and destroy. No snipers yet. Talk about this Cold War year, but again, some of these guys with the Krig, it can look like a sniper from time to time. The A call looks to have been backed off. Meanwhile, Endelli gets having himself a nice little aBeZy sandwich. That's disgusting. Either way, we do have the first blood, and it will be our first plant over at B.
Yeah, so that was all Temp, just taking control of mid-courtyard to eventually be aggressive in towards Delhi, puts himself in the corner to get that first blood. So now they know that B-bomb is going to be open. So now it's going to be a 4v3 retake, not for Atlanta FaZe. They have to try to take control of Delhi. There's just so many angles where this bomb can be seen from. You see number 1, he's going to be sitting all the way towards back tank with 25 seconds left. They have to try to eliminate Temp out of here, and the trade's going to come in. But now it's going to be a 3v2 situation with the time starting to tick. Arcitys is able to spot Zaptius, but we eventually have to work towards his defuse. But Paris right now, with 10 seconds left, no one is going to be able to grab this bomb. If you're Atlanta, FaZe, and Paris, they're just playing perfect standoff S&D, and this is what you want to see out of a team that's just coming off of a roster change.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you're a Legion, you are jumping for joy because, again, Search and Destroy, it has not been a great one for them. As we said, 1-5 in Stage 3. I think they're, what, like 1-8 in their last 9 Search and Destroys, which, you know, granted, if they continue to play well, this could be a veto for a lot of other rosters, but it's a good sign so far for Paris. Again, 0-5 to start off for Arcitys, and I feel like in every round that Legion has won, Stud, it's really been, what, I think aBeZy dying in the opening engagement. So, again, a lot of things to work on if you're Atlanta. And this Search and Destroy looks like it could be over here soon, but is Black Ops 2 Classics? Who knows? New year, aBeZy. As we talked about in those first bloods, it's been a struggle so far, but he has turned up. The roster sees quite a bit of success. Now a quick 2 versus 3. Meanwhile, Simp tries to find an angle toward the back, and it will all be on to Cellium. Shuts down Aqua, and now it will be a 1 versus 2. Smart call for Cell to try and get out of this tractor position just because of the angles that you could start to fall into, but brought down to 76 HP. Takes down Temp.
Oh, no.
One more for Cell. Stay alive or a map for Scraps.
And this is going to be difficult. With 30 seconds left, Simon does not have any information where Scraps can be. He could have went all the way back to the spawn and slowly creeping up towards his A site. But finally, he's able to gain some information and spot him. So now the bomb is going to go down. Cellium is a veteran in this game mode for a reason. Wastes no time. So now with 45 seconds left, Scraps has to try to work. He's able to spot him in the tractor, and Scraps with some great shots from the top of the statue. Paris Legion are able to walk away with this in a 6-1 dominant fashion. Atlanta FaZe, you better call Tupac real quick, man, and develop some strats on this one because that one wasn't even close. Paris tied up 1-1.
I know Tupac. He's probably, I would say excited about the loss, of course, but probably ready to get to work. But again, a solid map through and through from the Legion. Very well could be, a new map for them. Stage 4, full of new things, new rosters, new maps, new patches, everything. Maybe a new look in Search and Destroy for Paris as well. A dominant Search and Destroy victory. And to be honest with you, Study, I thought that those words would never going to come out of my mouth. Even though I thought we might have standoff maybe in this series. Again, I tweeted at it coming into this series. Could we possibly see it? I tweeted at all the teams, and Atlanta and Paris, they gave us what we want. But again, man, like I said, if you're Legion, I feel like you'll take that, right? You will take kind of this new map. 8-1 for Scraps, 10-4 for Temp. And what, Zaptius comes in and, you know, has a great impact. 5-4 for him. A new look so far for Legion.
Yeah, Paris Legion right there in that Search and Destroy. Like we said, in their last 9, they were sitting at 1-8. So getting a new map in for them has given them a whole new life of energy. And that's great to see out of Paris Legion because this is a game mode that they have really been struggling in. But 6-1 dominant win over Atlanta FaZe. This is the first time that we've ever seen this map so far throughout the CDL season. It was a great showing. Obviously, Atlanta FaZe have to go back and do their homework because Paris Legion, that was textbook from start to finish.
It was indeed. And we'll actually take a look back at our final round of this game. We didn't see many rounds, but we'll go in advance to our 7th and final one. Comes down to a 1 versus 1 stud. A near 1v3 for Cell, but Scraps, he gets the work done.
Yeah, so like I said, Cellium right now, he's only just trying to spot Scraps so he can eventually gain that information on what bomb plan he can work. But with the clock ticking all the way down to 25 seconds, Cellium decides to wrap back towards that A bomb. Scraps put some early shots in as he was able to spot him. So Cellium was just able to put that bomb straight down. But look at what Scraps does. He puts it straight through Broken as probably Cellium thinking that he's going to stay towards that Broken side. He decides to reposition towards that top statue and is able to get that line of sight on towards that back tractor to eventually close out the round. And that's where experience comes in. Like, did Cellium play this map before? Probably not. And Scraps probably did. So he gains that information there and is able to close it out for his team.
Indeed, maybe Age winning out in this particular battle, but it is a 1-1 score line. Legion are able to answer back in the Search and Destroy. And now kind of one of my favorite things about this new Paris team stud was going to be kind of maybe their advancements in a mode like Control. Zaptius took a team who was not great in the mode for London throughout the first 2 stages, and made them a very solid team in Stage 3 in Control. Can it be enough versus arguably one of the best Control teams in the league in Atlanta? We will find out when we come back after this break.
Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming.
This should be fun.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chicago home series. It is day one of that. It is day one of Stage 4. And I don't know what we just saw, but it was a very quick search and destroy victory there for the Paris Legion on standoff of all things. But Stud, I want to kind of direct this conversation to Legion's new guy on the block. It is aBeZy, comes over from the London Royal Ravens, and it's fair to say had a great kind of time in the London camp, kind of turned things around for them. But obviously aBeZy does come in for a player like Classic, given the stats, given kind of what you think that how both teams can work. How do you feel about this transfer here?
I feel like this transfer is going to be great for Paris Legion because obviously you see the stats on the side of Classic. It was just a lot of inconsistency. And at least one thing out of aBeZy is he's going to give you that teamwork. Even though they lost that first hardpoint by about 40 points and he didn't have a great game, he's still putting himself in the right positions to try to close out that map. The Search and Destroy was a dominant fashion from top to bottom, but the one we really got to focus on is that control. And this is something that they have really been struggling on. And hopefully with that 1.07 KD going into this map number 3, he's able to bring it.
Sure, man. Obviously, our Astro Social soundboard, this one coming through from Enigma. Forever feel like Paris are just one player or one hot streak away from being a very, very good side. Is aBeZy that player? It's a great question coming through from Enigma. By the way, shout out to his content. Awesome stuff there. And I guess you could say that kind of is the question right now, Stud. You know, is aBeZy that player? I know it's a question that we necessarily can't give a 100% assurance to in terms of if he can be that, as it is their first series. But I think as we said throughout the hardpoint, he started off the way that he did. Granted, the team success was not there, but I think that, you know, when we did get to watch him on the Royal Ravens, he may have not had the best stats outside of like a control, for example, but I think it was undeniable that whenever he was finding kills, it was incredibly impactful to the rest of the team.
Oh, 100%. And that's the thing. It's just like players like Classic, players like Zaptius, they're supposed to be able to do that for the team. And Zaptius, obviously, he was getting a lot more comfortable with London. We gave him a lot of flack in the beginning because he wasn't putting up the best kills, but his kills are really important on the map. And specifically going into this control, we knew what Scraps and Aqua were like in the beginning of the year as that AR duo. So now with Scraps moving to that submachine gun, with a player like Zaptius, he's going to be able to slow down his gameplay, and hopefully they can start to work a lot better together. Because right now, Atlanta FaZe, I don't know what kind of play this is. This one is new, but it's looking like it's going to be a draw. Okay, that one threw me kind of off guard there. But like I was saying, Paris Legion, with having Zaptius, it should be a lot better to just slow down Scraps as an SMG and allow Temp and Aqua to finally get back into that Slayer role with those assault rifles.
That's a great call, man. Like I said, maybe, you know, having the addition of a player like Zaptius can kind of set up those ARs, as you mentioned. And I feel like, too, you know, outside of the crazy strategies that we were seeing in that game, like one player who has kind of struggled a lot in control and really struggled a lot in stage 3 was Aqua. And he was like, I think one player who I felt like was probably in the top 5, top 6 AR conversation. Maybe kind of throughout stage 1, a little bit of stage 2 as well, but he did kind of have that drop off. I know often we kind of talk about the impact of how SMGs can affect the ARs can affect the SMGs as it is a team game, but how do you think that a player like Zaptius could maybe even affect the slang or the presence of we know, a very, very solid gun skill type player in Aqua?
I think it would be great because Zaptius, the pace that he plays at with that submachine gun, he can switch it up. He can be really fast or slow down his gameplay depending on the situation at hand. And for a player like Aqua, who really needs that consistency work out of a submachine gun, who's able to push out certain lanes and just open up the lane for the AR player, I feel like this is going to be great for him because, like you said, in the beginning of the year, he was one of those top 5, top 6 assault rifle players. And throughout stage 3, he's really fell off. But now having Zaptius there to try to slow down his gameplay and help Aqua pick up that leader role, pick up that slaying role that we're used to seeing out of him, I feel like this is going to be great for him.
Yeah, and too, like, you know, I know we've been stressing on it a number of times. I know Legion fans are not happy to hear it, but again, search and destroy control, it just wasn't there in stage 3. I think it was like 1 in 5 for Legion in regards to that control type of situation. And I think, you know, it was not just that, but it was also, I think that, you know, eventually as a player, you're going to have, you know, those off weeks, and we talk about the stages, how kind of hard it can be to be on top of your game at all times. And I feel like Aqua was probably a player affected by that. You know, obviously, like I said, he had a great start to the season. You're going to have kind of those weeks, maybe even that month where things kind of slow down a little bit. And I feel like if we can see Zaptius kind of be that SMG, as Enigma, you know, was talked about in that Astro Social soundboard, if Zaptius can be that player to kind of pick it up at times when Aqua or Scraps are not having those maps, it can almost kind of take the pressure off, I feel like, in a certain way. Because when you are relying so hard on a player, it can really start to, you know, kind of ruin the overall momentum of the team if you're not, you know, getting that expected 1.1 or 1.2 KD out of your Slayers, or in this case, out of your ARs.
Yeah, but the good thing is when you're going into a map like Checkmate, going into a map in control, specifically on Raid, we saw what Zaptius KD was. He was a 1.07 or 1.12 around there, and just having that consistency on this team is something that they have been lacking in. And a player like Temp, who dries off the energy, who dries off that passion when they are listening to the comms, this is something that can really start to get him going as well, because so far Temp, he's been on 2 different rosters. He's been in the Thieves and he's been on Paris, and I feel like he hasn't been the same player that we've seen throughout his Black Ops 4 career. Right. He was up there with some of the best, being one of those MVP players, but now he's finding himself in that flex role. He's going to start to get a lot more comfortable, so he doesn't have to go back and forth between that and the submachine gun, because the only map he told me that he's going to be running a submachine gun is going to be Apocalypse. So just to get a lot more comfortable in this role, having a player like Zaptius who's going to be able to slay in this game mode can really help his gameplay out as well.
Yeah, and I guess, you know, you can kind of transfer that conversation to almost like a momentum-based type thing. As Cellium does find the nice kill to set up some early time over at A, as I guess you can kind of compare Legion, despite kind of the EU side of things, almost similar to London in the case that, you know, they started to catch momentum. They found that game mode in Hardpoint. Obviously, Zaptius was on that team, and we started to see them go on a spree where they won, like, I think it was 3 out of their last 4 or 4 out of their last 5 games. They started to go on a run, and as you said, man, you get some momentum. You have players that are kind of built off of that. There is no doubt that Legion have the Slayers Unfortunately for them, they do get dropped in a moment's notice. The pin hits the floor and FaZe are quickly in toward the other side of the map as Scraps does get dealt with toward pillars. Meanwhile, it is Atlanta firmly over toward this water side. Meanwhile, it's Zaptius, possibly going to go for somewhat of a swim, but Atlanta continuing to put pressure toward this water side.
And I just love the patience right there out of aBeZy, out of Simp right there in towards that money window. Able to pick up onto Scraps, but that was going to set up the push for Atlanta FaZe, so eventually set up that pinch and force the players to come out of basketball, but both players dropped towards the lower side. Eventually, Atlanta FaZe, they had to fight for kitchen once again. Then they only have one player who's going to be Temp, has to try to play his life in towards Tiki. Just pay attention to that number one in Scraps. Scraps is their safety net right now, going for a full flank towards that bedroom side.
If Scraps can make the play, again, first tick is in already for Atlanta. Long-range shots needed from that 74U. Unfortunately for him, only one could do, but it will set up his team just enough to be able to get back off of spawn, as Arcitys is there for the beatdown, lays down the punch, lays down the jab, and now pretty much will be the one player allowing for the push to come in from the front, but meanwhile, it is aBeZy yet again on the flank. It almost just seems in a matter of moments, when can Atlanta start to get that opening? But one side starts to see a spree. Legion, they answer as well. 45 seconds left. One tick in for Atlanta. Can Legion hold on as they're within one life?
Yeah, Scraps just had a huge two-piece towards that middle water steps to able to put him in a position to push out bedroom. And now it's going to set up his teammates to fight for more map control. Temp able to come through pillars, able to take down two, and now the clock is starting to tick for Atlanta. They had to try to take control of their bedroom, but Scraps and Zaptius are in a great position to cut these guys off. Zaptius, unfortunately, is going to get some bad timing there, but no more lives remaining for Atlanta FaZe. Paris Legion have a 2-live advantage, able to find 2 kills towards the middle of the map with 10 seconds remaining. Atlanta FaZe, where we thought that they were able to close out this offensive round, Paris Legion should be able to hold this, as there's only one player from Atlanta to try to get onto this point in Paris Legion. Such a great hold, great play out of Scraps to just force those players from Atlanta FaZe to turn around when they were on this B point. Just stalled enough time for his teammates to get into the play, and it eventually shut down that push and close out the round. Good first round out of Paris.
Yeah, I feel like, too, there were so many highlight moments. Obviously, that one from Arcitys sticks out throughout that first round, but like I said, it just seemed as if it was going to be just one of those plays. FaZe, they're eventually going to be able to find the kills. They're eventually going to, obviously hop onto the point, but it just never really happened. Clarity being displayed out of Paris early as they do walk away with their beginning defense. Now here onto the attack, it will be 4 strong in toward B. Zaptius once again looking to lead the way while Temp hopes to manage that streak, sitting on 4 in a row. He will be required, called upon to also be somewhat of the objective man. Has to play carefully as he will spot out a few players toward basketball. Meanwhile, Simp, eager as ever, waiting for that jump trade to come on in. That is one tick halfway through. Our Paris could quickly begin to falter, but are they aware of Temp's position? Arcitys shuts down Aqua. Meanwhile, the trades continue to be in. Temp still sitting on that 4 spree. Quickly looks one way, has to go for the challenge on Descent. Meanwhile, it may be Temp who falls, but it will be 2 early ticks at B. And on the other side for Paris, quickly off of the spawn, they'll just be like, hey, you know what? We're spawning driveway. Let's go and make some advancements over at A as well. A solid first, minute 30, 45 seconds there out of Legion.
Yeah, great start right there for Legion. The fact that they only kept one person on that B point, and he was able to get 2 captures by himself. You saw what Paris Legion were trying to do. They were just making sure that they set up to have every single cut watched. They did not stack that point and force Atlanta FaZe to eventually bombard them with all their gun skill on their team. But 2 ticks onto that early B point is exactly what you want to get done. Now it's all about just trying to focus on towards A. But Atlanta FaZe, they've done a great job of just grabbing back, picking up a majority of the kills to get back to have some map control towards this positioning. Arcitys is able to take down 1, but he's going to get traded. So now that leaves the opening for Paris to try to get in, but Simp's able to answer with 2. So now 25 seconds. Paris Legion need to get on to one of these points to extend this time.
They very well may have chosen the right one. Time, of course, stopped at 24. A big push being made from water steps, as that's going to be Simp and aBeZy. The tiny tears causing problems, but Aqua, can he hold the line? He's so close. But meanwhile, on the other end, it will be Scraps. It will be Paris getting the time over at A. I mean, that was a huge sequence in this game, and Granted, while Legion will be able to capture that A point, if the Tiny Terrors do not find all four the way that they did, that would have been the B capture with a minute 18 on the clock, and you like their chances a lot more to get work done today than you do at B. But what can Paris do? Down 7 right now in lives, a minute on the clock to work with. Not as much time as I'm sure that they would like, but given the progress, again, it just could be one good push, and that push may in fact be in. Atlanta hanging out toward Mansion. Meanwhile, Legion looking to cause some issues in the spawn. Because of where they pushed, it will be Atlanta now over in basketball. A flurry of fights beginning to ensue, as meanwhile it will be Zaptius dropping. Tip does as well. And for the moment, it will be a nice hold from Atlanta.
Yeah, so Paris is trying to fight for that map control, but kills were going back and forth between both teams, so eventually they weren't able to set up a clean pinch. But like I said, they have 2 ticks already, so they're going to be able to get on towards this point. They're going to eliminate 2 players, so now it's all left up to Simp and Cellium. I mean, Simp and Arcitys. Arcitys and Simp are able to take down one apiece, so that's going to slow down the push. But they do know that Aqua is going to be set up in Kitchen. It's going to be 5 lives remaining for Paris Legion. Aqua currently sitting on a 5 spree. Make it 6 as he snaps onto Simp. Now the clock is starting to tick. They only need basically a centimeter left on this point to be able to close it out. Aqua still on a spree. Eventually he's going to drop. 2 kills are going to go in favor of Atlanta FaZe. And with time starting to tick, Atlanta FaZe have the man advantage. It's looking like they're going to be able to close this one out.
Oh, a very, very competitive round number 2. And I got to say, Stud, I feel like this round simply comes down to the flanks that we saw Atlanta make from water stairs. Like there was 2 different instances where in the first side, it looked like they had it. On the second side, that very well could have been the difference. But I think that's a comms problem. Obviously, you're trying to deal with a number of different things. You got a new player in there. I mean, what do you make of that so far? As that was kind of, it seemed to be the overall play twice to kind of decide the round.
Yeah, so when a Simp and aBeZy, when they decided to push down towards water steps, they found a kill in towards middle P5. So at the same time, one of their teammates found another one, so it's a 4v2 situation. So Simp and aBeZy, they decided to just go straight down in water steps. They solo out one player and then eventually leave the last guy, which was Aqua, on that point by himself. And they just win a majority of the gunfights. And that's where those gunfights engagements are really important. They were able to close out that round and tie it up 1-1. But a nice early opening from Paris Legion to get a nice 3 down. Fight for some early map control as Zaptius is going to be already in this R position.
My goodness, man. Like I said, Legion, they look like a different team. And granted, however the rest of this game goes, we could say that Atlanta, they win the next 2 rounds. Let's say they have a convincing hard point, but there is no denying that Legion in that opening hard point, in the search, and now so far in the control, they just look like a different team. Like that opening break, how often have we seen Paris do things like that, right? Where they throw the utility out, they find the opening 3 over towards Zig. The team just looks to be in somewhat of a better state. And again, versus best team currently in the CDL. This isn't, versus just any random team. This is Atlanta FaZe that we're talking about. But Atlanta looking to issue again on that dominance as Arcitys in the midst of a pretty annoying gunfight versus Scraps. Overall, a victory if you are Paris, as long as you can hold the line. But just as we say that, Scraps gets the call out that, hey, progress being made from the other end. Atlanta may in fact have broken through over toward water as the flanks continue to be a problem. A minute and 30 on the clock, and it just seems to be that Atlanta constantly are hanging out over toward basketball.
Yeah, they just can't get out of their base, right? Their Temp and Zaptius are doing such a great job by just keeping Atlanta FaZe 2-2 split. 2 players towards basketball, 2 players coming off spawn, and they continuously are putting these guys in a spawn trap. Even though they're only up by 1 life, they are just keeping that map control, forcing Atlanta FaZe to try to change positioning, but they are able to eliminate that player from water steps and bedroom. So this might be the push Atlanta FaZe were looking forward towards, but the streak is going to come in from Aqua, so that's going to slow down the push from Atlanta. How do they decide to challenge this? Simp is going to decide to be in towards basketball. But both players are going to be stuck in towards Tiki. And Paris Legion, with only 1 player left here from Atlanta FaZe, they stop the push once again.
Huge moment there for Aqua. Does get picked off, but again, it's just the instant trade for Legion. You have to walk away with these trades. Scraps tries to go for the flank, but Atlanta, they're able to read it. And with that, 1 more player stands between them and the early capture as they look to try and stack the point. But Aqua, he gets aggressive. Nobody is there for the instant trade, but Temp has to jump on through, and that will be a capture there from Atlanta, as that will be their 2nd in a row. A big round for them to take. The streak from Aqua, unfortunately, does get wasted when we talk about how the rest of this round could look, Stud.
Yeah, that streak from Aqua, it just hurts, man, because, you know, obviously kills go back and forth, but with Simp able to open it up with that kill in towards basketball, it slows down the push from Paris Legion to try to gain some more map control. I would have liked to see if once that streak was called in, a couple players who were sitting around that kitchen area to try to push up, to be more aggressive towards bedroom, be more aggressive towards Zig, but Atlanta FaZe, they were just able to win both of those engagements that both players tried to push up. Eventually, they get the map control with 3 down, 3 stacking towards the point, kills going back and forth, and they were able to close it out. So now Paris Legion, they find themselves on offense, currently down 2-1. They're changing it up this time and deciding to get that early A capture to try to extend this time by a minute.
Last time around, it was a quick B play from Paris. This time, an all-out A hit. So far, it has been successful. 2 ticks through, and really nobody can enter into the base. So, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and come away with the flank. Arcitys, despite finding a kill and this causing some confusion, you'd like to imagine, in the comms from the top rope, makes somewhat of an impact, but it's all for naught, as that will be the quick capture over at A. Meanwhile, Legion, they've got 2 minutes to work with, and 2 minutes to kind of debate, to think, to try and debrief. How do we break this defensive setup out of Atlanta? And so far, they've done a solid job.
Yeah, they're doing a great job right now. They have better control. They're going to get some early progression on towards the speed point, but they're also keeping kitchen. And this is with Zappies. He's going clutch, able to get 2 in towards that money window. Doesn't know if he's able to pick up that second streak, but gaining that artillery was such a big play right there out of Zappies. And Atlanta FaZe, they're able to fight back in, win a majority of those gunfights to get back on towards that B point. But with Zappies capping that streak, wasn't able to earn that cruise missile. But that's going to be 2 players down. They still have bedroom control. They just have to get some line of sights on towards that money window. Cellium's able to take down 1, but Paris Legion, they still have the map control to try to push up and be annoying on towards this B point.
The trade is in.
Oh, big 2.
Big 2 out of Arcitys. Constant headshots. So far from Atlanta. I want to say that's Arcitys' 3rd headshot in a row. Don't ask me how I know that, but I'm pretty sure it is. Great beams. So far from Atlanta, but such minute on the clock. Paris, they've had a few opening breaks, but so far it has been no progress. How do you want to see them play this final minute?
So right now, you see that they still have better control. You just have to make sure that you are able to get kitchen. But as I say that, 4 players are going to drop. Atlanta FaZe, they're starting to sprint up the map. You already see Arcitys taking control of Zig, just forcing all these players to spawn out towards back garage. And now Paris Legion, they're scrambling. They have to try to find 1 player, but so far, Atlanta FaZe, they're just playing really ratty right now, sitting in the corners, just making sure that the clock is still ticking. Now Atlanta FaZe find themselves up in a 2-live advantage. The streak, it has to come in from Zappies, but he's able to just gain the information for his teammates to tell them exactly where each player is going to come from. They're trying to locate Simp out of this Tiki area, but there's going to be 3 players coming in from middle water steps. Is he going to put a marker on it? No, he's not. So this is going to work out for Atlanta FaZe if they can just win a majority of these gunfights. And look at Cellium on the flank. He's able to make the play.
No one's going to be able to call him out. No one's going to be able to call him out. Cellium, Arcitys, the ARs, they combined for 2, and now it's all down to temp.
Oh.
No respawns left. Cellium putting in the work as he finally does get put to bed, but it will be sweet sleep tonight as Atlanta FaZe can rest assured that that control will in fact be theirs, as they will come away with a solid raid victory. At times it got close, at times it got scary, but I gotta say, Stud, the streaks kind of toward the stretch, the plays from Cellium, well deserved of the best play, but as we said, my friend, the streaks, the nice runs that Aqua and Zaptius went on were not enough to take down one of the best teams in this mode.
Yeah, so once Zaptius decided to pull out that artillery, he uses the ping, and that's the only thing that kind of caught me off guard. Is because now once you use the ping, obviously Atlanta FaZe are going to understand that, so they're going to change positioning. When Zaptius pulled it up, he saw that 2 players were in towards P5. 1 player was in towards kitchen, and 1 player was camping towards back Tiki. But the fact that that artillery was getting called in very late after the ping was already used, Cellium decides to change the play up, hits the full flank because he knows that no players from Paris Legion have any more respawns, and was just able to go through the backside, get 3 players from the bottom bedroom, and close out that map. Atlanta FaZe, even though when their backs were against the wall right there, they're still making the right place to come out on top, and now they find themselves up 2-1 in the series.
Yeah, big win for Atlanta, especially kind of coming off of that search and destroy loss. I know that kind of threw us a little bit for a loop, like, okay, we have that standoff. You talk about that garrison to start us off in Hardpoint, how that could have been a different story. You know, given a few situations, this could have been 2-0 Paris coming into it, but Again, Atlanta, all too crafty so far throughout these respawns. They have been a problem to deal with, a code that Legion have yet to crack, but can they do it in another raid? This time it will be for some hardpoint. And Legion, send us the distance, or will this one be done in 4? We will have that answer when we come back after the break. Everybody, and welcome back to the Call of Duty League, a great series currently going down between Atlanta and the Paris Legion. Both teams in search of the W, but I gotta let you guys know, you also have the ability to win. Make sure to unlock a free CDL team pack with any purchase on GameFuel.com/CDL. Of course, while supplies last. You got some time to do it, might as well, right? I got a case of Game Fuel sitting here in my mini fridge that I wish I had. It's actually just sitting here in the hot 86-degree room that I happen to be sitting in right now inside of Texas. Stud, if you could have any team pack right now, who would it be?
Atlanta FaZe, without a doubt.
It's not New York?
They're the champions. They're the champions. Like, I know I'm in New York, you know.
I'm getting on Twitter right now.
Been it through, like, but it's like Atlanta FaZe, they're the best in the game, man. You just gotta support the best, man. It's like what I do for the NBA. I just support LeBron, you know?
Oh boy. I did not want to look at YouTube chat right now, but hey man, like we said, it's gonna be a fun one. It's gonna be a fun one coming into this game 4. I am surprised though you didn't go New York. I would have bet lots of game fuel on the fact that you would have chosen.
Well, you lost them all.
I definitely did, but they're still here. Slightly warm. Again, need to put those bad boys in the fridge, but again, folks, here we go into this game 4. I mean, like I said, Stud, there's been a few good moments for Legion. Again, we talked about them. It has been their hard point. That's been their strong suit. They started off a little bit slow in the garrison, but they began to pick it up. Atlanta did walk away with that opener. Given the way this series has gone so far, it's been double respawn victories for Atlanta. A slow start in that standoff search and destroy. Do you think Atlanta get it done here?
I think they definitely get this done here because on raid, specifically hardpoint between these both teams, you have Atlanta, who's currently sitting at 5-2, and the opposite side, Paris Legion, who are 2-4. But their record doesn't really matter because they have a brand new teammate in Zaptius. So it's all about how can they perform here and shut down the Tiny Terrors, because the aggression that they're able to put on in Torch Kitchen is really difficult for teams to handle with. But Zaptius early on to this point, able to take down 2, just throwing shoulders left and right, trying to locate this last player in Arcitys, and eventually they're able to find him. So now time is going in favor of Paris Legion. They're keeping the spawns. And so far, like we said, man, this is a totally different Paris Legion so far throughout this series, man. They're really looking like they're improving in every single game mode. Even though they've lost both respawns, they're starting off hot on this one.
There indeed. One player trying to hold the line right now is Aqua. Again, after that solid opener for Legion, they do have those P2 spawns. They have that in their hands, but how about the nice turnaround from Aqua? Doesn't have any ammo, but Scraps, he's there. Excellent teamwork out of the Legion to hold on to Kitchen for the moment, but just when they run right back on in, they realize the timer was still left on the oven. It is aBeZy there to shut him down, as that will be a big double coming through from aBeZy. Man had a wonderful all-star weekend. He won the 1 versus 1. He was also part of Team Chance. Sorry, stud. He's been putting on in a number of different ways. And so far, he is being a problem inside a kitchen. Aqua finally able to deal with him.
I'm just happy that Paris Legion, throughout all that chaos right there, were able to keep those spawns and eventually gain some time on this P2 hardpoint, because that's really difficult. When aBeZy was able to pop that 2, you obviously see his teammates flooding in through money, but Temp just did such a great job at staying alive in the back, waiting for his teammates to get there, that they were able to get this remaining time on this P2 hardpoint. Now it's all trying to set up off this rotation. aBeZy, he's going to drop his gunfight in towards water steps, so that's going to spawn him all the way out towards basketball. So now the pressure is going to be coming in from Paris. Unfortunately, Cellium's not missing. Able to take down 2 players off the rotation. The last player is going to be Zaptius up towards me to P5. But with those kills coming in, Paris Legion are going to spawn water. So they're going to have a nice and easy push from this generator side.
What can they do with it? A nice lead for Legion. But how can they harness it? So many major gunfights happening between these last few hills. As Temp continues to lay down the lead, sitting at 8-2, he finally drops. So Atlanta with the time as Paris desperately look to try to break on in. As this game continues to get ever closer, we'll step aside and listen in for our Astro listening on the Paris Legion.
Comms, I'm trying to look for this guy. He's already jungle, guys. I'm
behind
him.
Yeah, back CTF pick to the right. Child right.
There's 2. I got 1. Boy, hitting you. Weak. Free kill. He's weak.
One's mid absolute. One's mid so weak. Did you get him?
No.
That's my front. I didn't know.
Nice.
One's gonna cut mid. Hold the pinch. I'm helping you.
Let's go in. We push out the back. Get
money. Gonna be in. Audio. That's it.
Alright, fuck it.
Alright,
money, 1 shot. So.
Head back kitchen. I heard you.
Money helping hell too.
Yo, back jungle on me.
You have my fire. Until you win.
Let me shot.
I have it now.
One more back kitchen. Back jungle.
You have it.
One more. Back jungle. One shot. 2 back door.
Money hell, bro. Yup, I'm trying to come down.
One flash nade over you guys.
Looking close stairs.
Flash nade over you guys. Cut out.
Close stairs, Simp. One more close stairs. aBeZy, 1 shot. aBeZy, 1 shot hill. In the HUD, 1 shot.
I'm in, bro. I'm coming.
Got Eddie. Nice. aBeZy was weak.
He's
out her.
Absolute. Dead. I'm bullet on time. He come shot me in the back. 2 more on it. 2 more.
Good. aBeZy shot right. Talk it. Don't be streak. Shot me out, Tiki.
Yo, cut out. Yeah, he's one W.
What could be P5? What could be P5?
I heard you.
Close Tiki, aBeZy, 1 shot.
I'm going to ring with you.
aBeZy's close Tiki. Big kills, guys.
I'm new, guys. I'm cutting mid.
How about left?
We're new. Money
rock, aBeZy.
One more kitchen. Every both.
Nice. He's gonna chow me.
I see him done.
He's Tiki. He's still Tiki. Take my time.
Do you want me to stay tight on you?
Yeah. I'm just holding ring. Right side. I gotta take my time.
Could be kitchen.
I got killed somehow. Wow. Could they hit open? I'm top ring.
2 open.
No. I have your right side open.
Yo, kitchen on me. I'm open.
2 open. I got 1. Open aBeZy, 1 shot. Open aBeZy, 1 bullet. He's on a 4.
Okay,
Get it over. He's on a 4, bro. We gotta kill him.
Hey, pillars over there.
Coming left.
I'm going to ring with you. On the ring.
Well, we got to listen in there with the Paris Legion. What's that? A few moments there. You hear a little bit of maybe annoyance with dying at certain moments, but overall, what'd you take from that?
I really enjoyed the comms from Paris Legion, especially out of Temp. Temp really sounds like he stepped up in that leader role with that communication, because obviously Zaptius, he's new to the team. He's not going to be as vocal as we expect him to be, but just making sure that they're doing the right place. You heard Aqua even in chiming towards the end, just making sure that no players are going to be feeding streaks, and they were able to rotate towards this P5 to get back into this one, because the way Atlanta FaZe were able to hold that P3 and eventually hold that P4, they were able to take the lead, but Paris Legion are able to answer back with some great time off of that P1. Now it's all about just trying to break in towards this P1 hardpoint. You have players coming from Laundry, players coming from Pillars. But the pinch is going to come in. Both players from Pillars are going to drop. And Atlanta FaZe, they're holding the line even if they don't have the good spawns.
Oh, and aBeZy.
He's on a 10 spree. Oh my God.
He's going on a 10 spree. He is yet to drop what feels like a solid 2 minutes as he has led the onslaught, bringing Atlanta FaZe back into this hard point after what was somewhat of a slower start. Legion did look good, cannot advance it to 11, but double digits. It's impressive out of the Tiny Terror. As back and forth we go, a good 25-point advantage right now for Atlanta as the 15 points left over at P1. Legion now starting to coordinate a push toward this back jungle side. And it appears to be a successful venture as they will now possess those preferred spawns. But what can they do with it? Aptius be waiting for some teammate support. He's not actually able to grant it, and Simp's just like, okay, cool. I'll just wait for you to challenge through the window. Eventually does, and it will be Atlanta. Despite not having the spawns, they now probably have them after this onslaught here. Cellium finds 2. Simp being problematic, and just like that, Atlanta FaZe, arguably one of the best plays so far throughout the game.
Yeah, and they made the adjustments because the first time around, the P2 went heavily in favor of Paris Legion. Even when Atlanta FaZe winning a majority of those gunfights in the hard point, Paris Legion, they were just keeping those back control spawns. So now, Paris Legion, they're all spawning out. They had to start thinking about the rotation. And if you're Atlanta FaZe, great hold onto that P2 to try to close this game out off the rotation towards that P3, gaining some great time as they break that 200-point mark. 2 players off the rotation are going to go down. Paris Legion are holding the line for right now, but it's all about with this time coming down to the wire on the end of that P2 hardpoint. How can Paris Legion decide to hold this? You're going to have one player sitting in towards Zig, one player holding waterside, but the push is going to be coming in from Atlanta from that raid point. Going down from driveway, Aptius is going to have his hands full. He's able to take down one. He's going to challenge onto the second. Unfortunately, he's going to lose that engagement. And now, with Simp winning that one-on-one, the pinch is going to come in. Atlanta FaZe, 3v1 in the hill, make it 4v1. Aqua has to try to do everything he can, but Atlanta FaZe are able to break in.
Atlanta FaZe just swarming, but in the midst of that, Legion, specifically Temp, able to lay down a very important double kill, which will at least extend the game. I mean, this is a hill that Legion at least have to hold. You don't necessarily have to get the points. I mean, obviously you want to get the points, but you just cannot allow for Atlanta to hold down seconds, free time. It cannot happen. But obviously from one side of the map all the way toward the other, from the garage now to the basketball court. aBeZy with those streaks, well deserved earlier. This is going to cause more problems for Legion as, again, they just try to progress their way throughout the map. An unfortunate team kill does come in, so Arcitys, be some choice words inside of the comms, but as we said from Atlanta, holding things down so far. Front engagements so far have been somewhat successful. Cellium a little bit late here for the challenge and money window. Legion doing everything they can.
Legion's trying to hold the line, just trying to push it through this front side to try to keep this hill, to at least force it to that P5. So far, trades are going back and forth. They've done a great job at just eliminating FaZe from this positioning. And with the remaining 25 seconds, FaZe are going to have to decide to give this one up. Paris Legion, they break through the front, even with 2 streaks out of aBeZy, still not enough to get the job done. So now Paris Legion is still in this game with 15 seconds remaining on that P4 hardpoint. They're winning a lot of these engagements in towards the middle of the map. Now it's all about the route, man. Who's going to be able to take that route to try to set up a pinch, to try to set up this play all in this P5 hardpoint? 2 kills are going back and forth between Atlanta FaZe. But Paris Legion are going to be in early in towards this hardpoint. Eventually kills, like I said, going back and forth between both teams. They're just trying to fight out of kitchen, and eventually Paris Legion are able to get in.
There's they hop in for a moment, but again, aBeZy with the streaks. How impactful can this be? Delays and then begins to call him in. Arcitys is there, but Aptius, he stays alive. So the streak not affecting him, but meanwhile, Cellium throws the nade over the top, glances right past the tree trunks, and just like that, FaZe, they're inside of the point. The nice plays coming through so far as they're just less than 20 points before this game is done, before this game is through. Legion, they have to break in now. Concern, panic, beginning to set in, as that's going to be 2, that's going to be 3. Paris, they hold on for a moment, but only 7 more seconds. They bought themselves a P1, and if they can lock down this spawn, it could be good for them. Continuing to come down to the wire. Legion doing everything they can just to progress this game A current split spawn, 2 players from one side, 2 players from the other. Cellium and Arcitys, they handle business over toward one side, and that very well may be enough. Can anybody from Legion get here in time? Pimp gets clothesline on the way to P1, and Atlanta FaZe right off into the sunset here in Stage 4.
And that was just great work out of Atlanta FaZe to make sure that even though they didn't have a full setup for that P5, they were able to just consistently keep Paris off of it, keeping those players to hit long routes to eventually set up pinches. But then even towards the very end, when they went 4 down, you had 3 players who spawned out towards back laundry. 1 kill ended up getting traded, but they took control of that side of the map. The other 2 teammates spawned all the way across the map to eventually set up the pinch, and it was just way too much for Paris Legion to handle. If that one player who was sitting out towards back laundry were able to get that 2-piece, it changes the complete map. Paris Legion are able to hold the hill, able to keep the spawns, and it's probably a totally different outcome. But Atlanta FaZe, they don't panic. They win the engagements in the closing moments to set up that pinch and eventually close it out. Congratulations to Atlanta FaZe. And once again, another great series out of the boys.
And a great 10-game run that they have been on, 9-1 in their last 10. Obviously on the other side for Paris, it's hard, right? Just kind of given the streak, given the run that they've been on, that is 3 games in a row that they have lost. And again, I guess you could say it is the result, of course, not what you want out of Paris. But I guess if we are, kind of looking full circle here, I feel like, Study, that Legion did have some good moments. Like, I know we're coming into this series. It's number 1 seed versus like number 11 right now in the overall standings. You're expecting an Atlanta victory. But I think given the way that a few hard points worked, we talked about just little moments kind of throughout the HPs, and especially in that control. I mean, I think if you turn a few of those things around, this very well could have seen a Game 5 and maybe could have been an upset given the fact of, a few things being different.
Yeah, but Paris Legion, from start to finish of this series, they definitely look like a better team. That very first hard point, they lost by 40 points, which is one of their best maps, obviously, with their old roster when Classic was still there. But Zapties, he's really good at that map, too. They only lose about 40 points versus the top dog in the league. Then they go into that standoff, search and destroy, really put their foot in the ground right there with a 6-1 victory there. But then both respawns, they just kept it really close. Like Paris Legion, they really have shown improvements throughout this series for me, and I'm really excited to see how they can build upon this going forward throughout the rest of the stage.
I'll tell you what, man, again, a solid start for Atlanta FaZe. For Legion, you could argue that there were some positive to take away, but for me, biggest takeaway is probably the biggest highlight of this entire series. It is our scuff play of the game, and it is aBeZy going on an impressive, 10 kill spree that he has. I know we were in the Astro listening, so we were kind of like listening to the comms, trying to gauge exactly where Legion were at this moment, and aBeZy, he popped off.
Yeah, he's just doing things that we don't even see on the map. I didn't even know the guy was on a 10 spree, and it's so difficult to do that from P4 to P5, especially that submachine gun. As a submachine gun player, all those engagements are really up close and personal, but the fact that this guy was able to go 10 on a 10 spree, pick up some streaks, because those streaks were desperately needed towards the end of the game, that's exactly what he needed to do for this team. Obviously, kills were going back and forth. They just did such a great adjustment at just making those changes in the middle of that game to make sure that they were nice and early this time around towards that P2. But aBeZy, getting that 10 spree, this is exactly what he does, man. We didn't even know. That's how fast he was moving around the map, going on 10 kills without me noticing. That's a pretty good job out of that young man.
I know, right? He just sneaks in. Like, he's a tiny terror after all. He just kind of sneaks in and just takes away, again, probably the best play that we've seen so far in Stage 4. Believe it or not, it is our first series, but it is well-deserved without a doubt. Like I said, aBeZy had a great All-Star weekend. He wins the 4 versus 4. He wins the 1 versus 1. It has been solid so far for that tiny terror, and a solid beginning for Atlanta FaZe to start off Stage 4 as they do get the job done here versus Paris. But it is a long road until we get toward that Stage 4 major, and really the one that kind of sticks off the page most, Stud, is that next game they have versus OpTic.
Yeah, it definitely does, man, because throughout the last stage of Stage 3 to close it all out, OpTic and FaZe matched up, and FaZe played their best maps and 3-0'd them with ease. So it was really scary to see, but we saw the Cinderella story out of OpTic really coming back to life throughout that Major 3. They were winning hard points, winning their search and destroys, and walk away with a top 4 placing. So I'm excited to see that matchup between those two gauntlet rosters.
That, my friend, Group A continues to get interesting. Obviously, for Legion here, do not find the victory versus Atlanta. Have some opportunities possibly to regain before Minnesota. Again, not going to be an easy run for them, but possibly that improvement. Coach Theory, by the way, happy birthday to Theory, by the way. Did not get the W today, but I think that he can walk away with, like I said, some good notes
without a doubt. But as we said, folks, as game 1 comes to a close, our first series is done here in stage 4. It is Atlanta with the W. Arcitys may be blowing some bubbles. He's hype, and it's a donut. All right. A big old donut. That looks good. Arcitys, maybe that's your post-game snack. I have no idea. I would love a donut right now. FaZe up. It is Arcitys joined alongside by Lottie after this break.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by GameFuel. Unlock a CDL team pack with any purchase on gamefuel.com/CDL while supplies last. Offer ends on August 31st. Tournament audio and team listen-ins are powered by Astro Gaming, the official headset and mix amp of the Call of Duty League.
Hello everybody and welcome to your Game Fuel Victory Spotlight. Joining me I have the one and only Arcitys from Atlanta FaZe. Arcitys, I've got to say man, you really do exude that happy confidence that we know and love here at the Call of Duty League. So I got to know man, like what do you say to yourself before you go into series here, and like, you know, do you have a motto that you live by? We want to get to know you, man.
Yeah, don't disappoint my teammates.
That's solid.
It's all about teamwork. This game is really good, or really like big with teamwork. So I go into each scrim every day, just be like, I gotta work on this, I gotta work on this, I gotta wait for a teammate. And obviously, like, we haven't had the best week of scrims. Obviously, Chris is moving. The All-Star tournament that I wasn't invited to because I'm not good enough, but it's been a rough week of scrims. So it obviously showed in that match. But hopefully, we could get there again and get out of the little slump we were in right there.
I feel you, man. I gotta say, you're my all-star Arcitys then. Because, you know, you might not have gotten to the tourney, but I got you here, man. One of the best ARs in the game, if not the best. I gotta say, though, last stage that, you know, we saw you in, you guys were really challenging yourselves in terms of maps and playing maps that you hadn't really played much before or aren't really that strong on. Really trying to expand that map pool going into the major, and we saw that come to play in the best of 9 that you guys absolutely slayed on. I've got to ask you, though, can we take a peek behind the curtain? What have you guys been working on behind the scenes to really come into this stage 4?
I mean, obviously not standoff, holy but no, we've been getting rid of these certain maps, but I mean, we left APOC in and they didn't pick us, so that was It was hooray for us, but I don't know. We practiced standoff 4 times. It wasn't played the same in scrims, so it was kind of weird for us. But I think we're getting it down. Hopefully, I could get 1 more kill next time. I don't know, but I think we're just gonna keep doing our thing.
Hey, look, first time you play it, coming back into stage 4 competitively, you guys will get it down. If we know anything, FaZe, they come back strong, even after a couple of mistakes. Back to the drawing board, it's all good. I gotta ask you for the last question though, Arcitys, like, you wrap the weekend of week 1 here at stage 4 versus OpTic. It's gonna be an absolute banger. Have you got a message for Scump and the boys at all?
I love my red duo. Nah. I love those guys. They're still some of my best friends. I'm still horny for Formy. But I don't know. It's going to be a good match. They're looking very strong towards the end of Major 3, and I'm excited to play them.
I love that. Love that, man. Quickly, before we go, what's your favorite flavor donut? We saw that in the preview.
Maple, man. Maple. I don't want to talk about donuts,
hey. Don't try and manifest that at all. Appreciate your time, Arcitys. Thank you so much, and best of luck heading into stage 4, man.
Thank you.
There we go. We've heard from the leader himself, Arcitys, feeling pretty damn confident, always smiling, always happy, always having a joke. We love interviewing Arcitys here at the Call of Duty League. Well, I'll tell you what, we do have 1 more game left for this evening, and it's going to be an amazing one. We have Mutineers facing up with Ultra next. I'm very excited for this one. Let's see what both of these teams can do when they head into stage 4. Call of Duty League is presented by T-Mobile, now America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile, the leader in 5G. Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. Seany, the official eyewear for the CDL. Armor your eyes with Seany Blocks blue light protection glasses by visiting seany.com/gaming.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chicago home series. It is day 1 of stage 4, and it is set to be a battle to close out our first one for Mutineers taking on the Toronto Ultra, and what should be a swimmingly great game. A lot to be excited about when we talk about this series. Bance is already, I thought for a moment he was closing his, okay, there we go. He's already focusing up, much like we are right now. A lot to dive into, a lot to be excited about as we join you here with the beautiful